a couple of things. Let's talk first about prior to submission. How much editing are you doing? Obviously, you're not doing a line edit at every read any longer. Do you do a line edit at any point?
I will. But in general, I try not to, just because it's a line edit, so it takes like a ton of time. But the amount of revision I do also depends kind of on the state of the manuscript. And also just sort of how well things are clicking together. If you have like an insanely polished manuscript, then like that's awesome. Then I don't have to do anything. We can just send it out. Congratulations to both of us. Otherwise we'll go back and forth and talk about what's working, what's not working. I usually send editorial letters to people where I kind of like outline the big picture things that aren't, quite there yet for me. Do brainstorm conversations, stuff like that. But there's I don't have and this I think comes down with me being less rigid and formal. I don't have like a set, we will do 3 revisions, then we will go on submission. And if we have done 4 revisions, then you're gone. It's just kind of, when it feels ready.
Gotcha. So if it's book 2, book 1 has just sold an amazing 6-figure deal, went to auction, preemptively bought, it was amazing. And it's book 2 time. How involved are you with book 2? Are you helping me plan what ideas might make for the best possible book?
So that also depends. Sometimes if it's next in series, then your editor will have some pretty specific thoughts about what they want to do. Especially if you maybe already come into it with a vague idea of what you want that sequel to be. And if that's the case, I'll usually just step back. And if something sounds like, really horrible, I might poke my head and be like, hey guys, just wondering, do we really want to have Nazis in this book? If, the editor says, okay guys, book 2, what do we got? And you have no idea, then yeah, I'll talk it through with you and maybe we'll come up with a few ideas that we can throw past the editor. But I do stop being the sole point person in that situation. I'm always, giving help or giving advice or giving suggestions in combination with either your editor, your publicist, or whatever the topic happens to be.
Gotcha. But it's not next in a sequel. It's the editor that did the previous book has gone to another house. So and they said, we hate you now. We're never going to take another book from you, so we don't have to take them into consideration. How involved are you in figuring out what the next project's going to be? And can I send you chunks of my manuscript? I've written the first 50 pages. Will you read it and give me feedback to where we're going?
Mm-hmm. Well, if you're describing, yes, I would be super involved, because if our editor is gone and our publisher has said, we don't want your next book, that means that we have some thinking to do, because most likely your sales haven't been awesome. And we need to figure out if it's something we can blame on the publisher, or if we need to somehow pivot your brand a little bit, or sort of rethink.
Is it pin name a clock?
But yeah, no, in that case, I would definitely be back to being the primary sort of talker to her.
Okay, so what are the strategies for my sales were terrible, but I don't want my writing career to be over? Help me, Carrie.
Well, if your sales are terrible, sometimes, you can say certain things like, for a lot of romance authors, there were a bunch of digital imprints where it was digital only romance. And I think most of them are shut down. They're shutting down now because nobody bought anything from those platforms. And in that case, you can ostensibly go to the next publisher and say, listen, we had this really great idea. It was on, this digital platform and we didn't have any sales. And we really think that, at your house, we could really sort of get the attention we deserve and get Lauren the audience that she deserves, or, what have you. If you have other books under your belt that either with a traditional publisher or self-published in the same genre that does have really strong sales, then you can sort of say, like, this is obviously a fluke, because look I have this other series that was like a bestseller, or like, I have these books on Amazon that I market myself, but I am a pro and I do all these wonderful things and I have thousands and thousands of sales. If you can't do any of those things, then you can think about maybe pivoting. Maybe you don't want to write in that subgenre anymore. Maybe instead of doing middle grade fantasy, you want to do middle grade contemporary. If you do want to do middle grade contemporary, do you want to do a pen name and kind of give yourself a fresh start, since it is technically a different brand? Or, sometimes if we have a conversation, we both really think, you know what, I think that we can just sort of like white knuckle our way through this, then maybe you will try another middle grade fantasy and just see if you can find an editor who really has a vision for it and really kind of has a good direction for it to go into.